All right, let's dive into something I think we've all been through. That feeling you get at the doctor's office. And today, we're zeroing in on the dentist chair to talk about a problem that's way more common and critical than you might think.
So picture this. You're in the dentist chair, right? You're nodding along while they explain some procedure, but let's be honest, inside, you're totally lost. You're hearing these big words, root canal, implant, whatever, and they might show you a little diagram, but do you really know what's about to go down in your own mouth? Probably not.
Yeah, if that sounds familiar, trust me, you are so not alone. That feeling of just being lost in a wave of technical terms, it's a huge deal, and it points to a much, much bigger problem.
In fact, it's so common we can just call it what it is, a full-blown communication crisis. It's this fundamental gap, a breakdown between the person with all the knowledge, the doctor, and the person who needs it the most, the patient.
Now, to be super clear, this isn't about blaming dentists or saying they don't care. Not at all. The real problem? It's the tools. We're talking about tools that are decades old. Think about it. A quick verbal explanation is easy to forget, and those old-school static diagrams, they're just too generic. They just don't do the job of bridging that huge knowledge gap.
So you might think, okay, a little confusion, what's the big deal? Well, when you actually look at the numbers, the consequences are kind of staggering. This isn't just a small inconvenience. It has a real, measurable impact on people's health and on how dental practices even run.
Okay, get ready for this. Studies show that patients forget or just plain don't understand a whopping 40 to 60% of the medical info they're given. That's almost half of everything they were told about their own health. Just gone. Poof. The second they walk out the door.
And what happens when you don't understand something? You hesitate, right? You don't make a move. And this next number proves it. Somewhere between 20 and 30% of all dental appointments end with nothing. No decision made on treatment. Because at the end of the day, understanding builds confidence. And without that confidence, people just get stuck.
In this confusion, it sets off this whole ripple effect, like a domino chain. It starts with the patient feeling uncertain, which, naturally, turns into fear of the unknown. And that fear starts to chip away at the trust they have in their doctor. So what happens? They put off getting the care they need, or maybe they just abandon it altogether. It's a lose-lose. The patient's health suffers, and the practice loses out too.
Okay, but what if we could actually break that cycle? What if there was a way to make all that complicated stuff crystal clear? Well, let's check out how visual technology is tackling this problem head-on. We'll use a platform called Luminaris as our example here.
The whole idea behind tech like this is actually pretty simple, but it's also incredibly powerful. It's all about taking those super complex dental procedures and turning them into personalized 3D visualizations that anyone can get in an instant. So no more generic charts, no more confusing medical speak, just pure, simple visual clarity.
And here's how it works. It's just a simple 3-step process. First, an AI looks at the patient's specific case and recommends the perfect 3D animation. Super smart. Second, the dentist can instantly pull up that animation on any device, a tablet, a big screen, whatever. And third, the patient gets to watch and even interact with it. And that understanding leads to a confident, informed yes.
So that sounds pretty cool, but how does it actually do all that? Let's pop the hood for a second and see what kind of innovation is making this whole seamless experience possible.
It really comes down to 3 key things. First, there's a huge library of amazing 3D animations covering basically every major dental procedure you can think of. Second, and this is the really cool part, an intelligent AI matching engine that actually personalizes the animation for each patient. And third, it's all streamed from the cloud, which just means it works instantly in HD on any device. No downloads, no installs, no hassle.
So what this all boils down to is a massive shift from the old one-size-fits-all way of doing things to something that's totally personalized. Instead of a generic poster on the wall, you get a dynamic animation that's matched specifically to you. It's like the difference between looking at a generic paper map versus using a GPS that's guiding you personally turn by turn.
Okay, so when you get this level of clarity, the impact is huge, and it spreads out. So who really benefits when communication gets this good? The answer is pretty much everyone involved in dentistry.
Just look at the breakdown. For dental practices, it means more patients saying yes to treatment, which helps their bottom line. For medical universities, these become amazing, modern 3D learning tools for the next generation of dentists. And of course, for patients, and this is the big one, it means less anxiety and feeling empowered to make their own decisions. It really is a win-win-win.
And really, it all comes down to this one simple, powerful idea. Patients say yes when they understand. It's that simple. When you replace all that fear and confusion with genuine clarity and confidence, people are just so much more likely to go ahead with the care they actually need. And that's the whole point, isn't it?
So, as we wrap this up, I want to leave you with a final thought. We've been looking at this through the lens of a dental office, but just zoom out for a second. Imagine if every single medical conversation, from a major surgery to a simple checkup, was this clear. What could that mean for the future of our health? It's a pretty exciting thing to think about. Thanks for tuning in.